Heat and environmental hazards are putting severe pressures on southern Europe. Toxicity alerts in Spain, reactor shutdowns in France, and a rising death toll in Greece.
An index ranking the best countries and territories to relocate to in 2026 has just been released, and Estonia has come out on top.
U.S. President Donald Trump warned Iran late on Monday that it was facing, quote, its last chance before decapitation, as talks between the warring sides appeared to produce no breakthrough. Speaking to reporters at the Oval Office, the U.S. president claimed that the talks, which Iran has denied are taking place, were requested by them.
We have a little problem with Iran because we have many talks and we'll say we have or we don't have. We're straight about it, but they deny. But we are talking right now. We're talking at the request of Iran, backed by Saudi Arabia, backed by UAE, and backed by Qatar in particular, but others also. Many countries called, the leaders of many, I'm friendly with a lot of them, almost all of them, one way or the other, and they all wanted to give this a last chance. This is a last chance. This is not something that, if it doesn't happen, this is a last chance for them to sign a good document.
Tehran issued its own set of threats back after reports emerged that the U.S. was exploring opening an alternative maritime corridor in the Strait of Hormuz to bypass Iran.
کوریدور دوم رو به هیچ وجه ما اجازه نمیدیم. در تنگه هرمز کوریدور دوم باز بشه. حتی اگر ناو هم بیارن ناوشو میزنیم. مسئله مهمی که الان برای رهبر معظم انقلاب مطرحه اینه که آمریکایی‌ها رفتارشون رو عوض کنن. یعنی چی؟ یعنی ما یه چیز جدیدی رو در رفتار آمریکا ببینیم.
Trump says the current talks are focused on two things: a complete reopening of the key waterway for commercial shipping and the country's denuclearization. Trump says the initial phase will focus on the strait, while a second phase, expected to take longer, will tackle the Islamic Republic's nuclear capacity.
4 days after the mass influx through Trajal, Ceuta is still far from returning to normal. Authorities have already counted 88 deaths and estimate that between 2,500 and 5,000 people remain in the city. Many of them are in this warehouse in the Alboran industrial zone, which was hastily set up to provide shelter.
أول حاجة ما عندناش لقطة لا فريش ما عندناش لقطة لا فريش الماكلة كيجيبوا لنا الماكلة مرة واحدة في النهار ما البارح جابوا لنا الماكلة الماء ما جابوش لنا من البارح ما جابوش لنا الماء ما كنلقاوش الماء باش نغسلوا باش ندوشوا بلاصه ديال الدوش سادينها لينا سادين الطواليطات خانزين عايشين المعاناه وعايشين مكرفسين بزاف صراحه.
With hardly any bathrooms or running water, conditions at the facility have deteriorated as the days go by.
كنتمنى من السلطات المغربيه ان شاء الله كما قايمه بالواجب ديالها تزيد يعني تحفز ان الناس تخرج الدراري الشباب تماكن لانهم ضايعين جوع وعطش وضرب. كنتمنى من الله وطبيعه الحال صاحب الجلاله الله ينصرو ان يدير لنا المستحيل ويخرج لنا الشباب ديالنا لان ضاع لداخل.
Not all stories end in the same uncertainty. Some families have managed to be reunited right at the border crossing. But while some return, others continue to try to cross the same breakwater where dozens of people have already died this summer. Extreme heat and environmental hazards are putting severe pressure on emergency services across southern Europe. In Spain's Zamora province, emergency crews responded to a major fire at the Zaresa waste treatment plant in Roales del Pal. Dispatchers received nearly 40 emergency calls, prompting authorities to issue toxic cloud warnings and close a lane on the A11 motorway. Beyond the industrial emergency in Spain, severe heat across France forced nuclear operator EDF to shut down 3 reactors at the Chaux and Cattenom plants due to low river water levels. Hungary's only nuclear plant is also under strain due to low water levels in the Danube. The environmental crisis deepened further south in Greece, where senior meteorologist Theodor Genaros declared the current wildfire disaster one of the worst in a decade. The fires claimed 5 lives over the past fortnight, with Copernicus data confirming over 12,000 hectares of land burned in a single week. Officials will conduct a comprehensive quantitative assessment once the fire season concludes.
Romania's military carried out a controlled explosion near the Danube River's Bala Canal. They did so in an effort to redirect water flow into the river's main channel and towards the state-owned Cernavodă power plant. It comes as Central Europe is gripped by extensive drought as a result of back-to-back heat waves. Romania's defense minister warned that the plant could be completely shut down by Wednesday or Thursday this week due to the low water levels.
Miercuri, joi, în cel mai fericit caz, centrala de la Cernavodă ar fi ajuns în procedură de a fi oprită. O zi de funcționare suplimentară a centralei de la Cernavodă e de vreo 3 ori mai eficientă financiar decât costurile acestor operațiuni.
Romanian authorities had already shut down one reactor unit at the plant. The country's energy sector has been under a state of alert since Friday. Acting Prime Minister Ilie Bolojan declared a nation state of alert in the energy sector on Friday and warned that the Danube's low water levels threatened the shutdown of the plant's second reactor.
Japanese Prime Minister Sanae Takaichi visited the southwestern prefecture of Kumamoto on Monday for the first time since it was hit by a magnitude 7.1 quake last week. Takaichi flew over the affected areas from an army helicopter and visited one of the best-equipped shelters, triggering criticisms on social media that her visit distorted reality.
今般視察させていただいた結果も踏まえ、政府としてはプッシュ型の物資支援、都道府県の行う、救助業務への支援、応急復旧を含めた災害復旧についてより迅速にかつ一層強化するため、明日200億円を超える規模の予備費の使用を閣議決定し、必要な予算を確保してまいります。
38 people died during the quake, including one of apparent heat stroke while taking shelter in a car in hot weather, officials said on Monday. 8,500 people remain at crowded emergency shelters and more than 46,000 households remain without water. Local authorities stressed the abnormal heat has been pounding on the already difficult lives of the residents as temperatures were predicted to rise close to 40 degrees Celsius on Monday.
A new index ranking the best countries and territories to relocate to in 2026 has just been released, and a Baltic state has come out on top. Estonia ranked first globally in the index thanks to its banking infrastructure, business opportunities, and property rights for non-citizens. The index scores 192 countries across 24 metrics, which are grouped into 4 categories: financial and tax, livability and health, safety and stability, and settling and opportunity. In each metric, a country is rated out of 100. Estonia was rated 99 out of 100 for its currency and banking, 96 for business opportunities, 82 for housing affordability, 86 for green spaces, and 77 for street safety. Its poorest metric was climate comfort, with 20 out of 100 due to its cold, dark winters. 5 countries in Europe made the top 10 in the Global Relocation Index, with the next highest after Estonia being Portugal in 4th place.
The safest way to view the eclipse directly is with a pair of solar eclipse glasses. They have special lenses in them that block out 99.9999% of the sun's light, only then making it safe to view. You've got to make sure that they are ISO certified, so that they've been through the rigorous safety standards testing. But as long as you know that they're safe to use, you can directly look up towards the sun when viewing the eclipse. if you want to see the full eclipse, you need to get into the path of totality. And to get into the path of totality, you're going to need to go to places like Greenland, Iceland, and northern Spain. Those are the places where the moon's shadow will be at its darkest, and you'll get that absolute 100% coverage of the moon in front of the sun.
What we discover, what we eat, what we do, how we treat. Introducing Euronews Health, your health and well-being digital destination, with healthcare at the centre of our lives, our preoccupations, our future. We decode and demystify health by making facts and markets, policies and updates accessible to understand the future of healthcare in Europe. Well-being is now at your fingertips with Euronews Health, your guide to health and happiness.
From the Eurozone's diverse economies to its emerging startups, get the latest news and analysis on Europe's economy, business and markets. See the big picture. Euronews Business.
It draws from our lives, experiences, and creative inspirations. The arts, lifestyle, design, food, and drink. This is culture. Spark your senses, wake your wonder. Euronews Culture.
This is Europe's newsroom. Our cities. Our voices. Our network. This is our mission. This is the home of journalism that reflects Europe. This is democracy. This is our home. We are Europe's newsroom. We are Euronews. We are Europe. 12 minutes.
Welcome to the show.
One guest.
Thank you so much for joining us.
Sharp questions.
Were you paid for that interview?
Straight answers.
Europeans will play a key role.
12 minutes. One interview on the issues shaping Europe.
Everybody wants to stop this war.
Join us as we sit down with top leaders for 12 minutes of unfiltered conversations.
Thank you for joining, and remember to stay up to date
on Euronews and Euronews.com. Euronews. The news.
5 water-dropping planes and another 5 helicopters took off at the first light.
Show this. Since June the 12th, you know that the reformed common European asylum system is in force, screening at the border, accelerated procedures, and we agreed also on the new return regulation. So all these reforms together are there, and we can see that in the numbers and in the figures. Illegal migration decreased by 55% in the last 2 years, another almost 40% so far this year, and this led to just over 49,000 people crossed illegally to our European Union across all our external borders, and that is roughly, just to give you a comparison, this is roughly as many as arrived on the Greek islands alone in a single week of October 2015. So this leads also, on the other hand, to decreased asylum applications, of course, across the European Union. Just to give you 2 examples there, in Germany, for instance, the numbers are down by more than a third again this year. Sweden, for instance, registered 8,400 applications last year. That's the lowest in 40 years. And Denmark registered 1,800 by the end of November. That's a historic low there as well. By every measure, Europe has not had this much control over illegal migration in decades. But of course, the events from Ceuta, that's also pretty clear, show that dramatic images beat actually the best statistics. And that's also, of course, one of the learnings. And as I said before, these past few days were a test of our European resilience, a test of the security of our external borders. And these days showed clearly that there are actors who have no regard for the safety or even for lives of innocent people. And from the first moment, of course, what we did as a Commission, we offered support to Spain, both financially and operationally. And this includes emergency financial assistance to strengthen the protection of the external border in Ceuta, also supporting returns, of course, and also to prevent movements to the European Union. In terms of support from our agencies, Frontex is already on the ground with more than 30 people in Ceuta, and is of course ready to do more also. And also other EU agencies like Europol, like our asylum agency, stand ready to assist Spain. For the time being, Europe, I think, has definitely passed this test. People did not manage to enter the Schengen area, and security at the border was resolved quickly. The key now is for the European Union to act, I would say, in a united manner and also draw the right conclusions from these events. This is also what we discussed today, of course. Maybe some sentences on the hard facts. First, the breach itself. Over 70,000 people, as you know, crossed in a matter of hours, fueled by criminal smuggling networks and also disinformation, social media disinformation. The integrity of our external border was placed, of course, under severe strain. That was the first hard fact. The second hard fact, 75 lives were lost. Families who will never see their loved ones again because criminals send people on dangerous journeys. And this is just not acceptable. And today we discussed how to avoid such incidents also in the future. What worked in the beginning is the response. First, Spain today again confirmed, as I said before, that practically all those who entered Ceuta have now returned. People did not cross from Ceuta into mainland Spain and into continental Europe. The integrity of the Schengen area was preserved, and that is the result of a sustained cooperation between Spain, Morocco, and the Commission over the recent days. And I want to acknowledge it clearly and thank Spain also and the administration in Ceuta for restoring order and to work closely with Morocco to ensure the swift returns. Secondly, our new European rules and on borders and on migration means we have a robust system in place to safeguard our security, to safeguard Europe's security. And this includes swifter procedures at the border, especially for countries on the EU list of safe countries of origin, like Morocco is. Morocco is part of this safe countries of origin list. And I also welcome the further deterrent action Spain and Morocco have taken to prevent additional illegal arrivals, including reinforced surveillance, for instance, of the maritime border. What are the lessons learned from this? This is also was one of the main discussions, of course, today as well. First of all, and we all agreed on that this morning, it's about the full implementation of our new rules. That is key, full implementation of the pact. Faster procedure under our new rules on migration, including screening, border procedures, and swifter returns. Very important elements there, both from a security perspective, but also, of course, from a migration perspective. And member states want and need to make better use of tools such as the new safe third country concept, which allows for asylum procedures outside the European Union in a safe third country under different and concrete rules. And that is important also to further deter illegal migration. Second, our 5-point path forward, which President von der Leyen announced in her letter to Prime Minister Sanchez yesterday. We discussed that, of course, as well, and everyone agreed there as well. These 5 points, shortly. One is to continue preventing illegal migration through stronger cooperation with our partners and neighbors. We call it migration diplomacy, going beyond migration management. We need to use our leverage in a more effective way, be it trade, be it visa policy, be it development assistance. And we are currently in the process of negotiating actually a strategic, comprehensive partnership agreement with Morocco. And of course, the topic of migration is one of the core elements of this agreement. Number 2 on these 5 points path forward is swift returns, applying our new return regulation. The third point, it's about further strengthening our external borders. This means a reinforced Frontex support also, both on the ground but also in third countries. We are currently, as you know, preparing a new mandate for Frontex to be adopted after the summer break. It also means vigilant monitoring and, where needed, also physical infrastructure at critical points. The fourth point is about implementing early warning systems. We must strengthen our capacity to follow misinformation trends, for instance, on social media, working hand in hand with Europol and all the other EU agencies. And the fifth point on that plan is about dismantling the smuggling networks. We urgently have to adopt the global sanctions regime against migrant smugglers. We proposed that in early July already, to have more tools to stop them. And it is why we launched also the Global Alliance against migrant smuggling 3 years ago. So There was a common understanding that we must advance on these 5 points ahead of the JHA Council in October, and then, of course, ahead of the European Council as well. So, to close, this week, as I said before, tested us, yes, in speed on the one hand, in solidarity on the other hand, but also in resilience to disinformation. But let me be equally clear about what this week also showed. When it mattered, the situation was brought back under control. That did not happen by accident. It happened because we acted together. European solidarity is at the heart of the European project, and Spain and its people can, of course, count on the enduring support of the Commission and the strength of our Union to overcome this current challenge. But we shouldn't make any mistake, of course. We will learn from this, definitely. We will also close the gaps, and we will keep protecting our external border altogether. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. So we'll move to the questions. As always, I will ask you to introduce yourself and the media you work for before asking the questions. We'll start in the room, and then we'll take a few questions online. We'll start with Zoya.
Thank you very much, Commissioner. Zoya Shatalovich from Politico. I wanted to ask you about whether Italy's concept of an immediate beginning of using these third-party deportation hubs has been discussed, and whether ministers backed that idea. Is it something that the EU is going to be working full steam ahead on? Because I know that that was something going into the meeting the Italians wanted to discuss today.
You mean the return hubs? Yeah, the return hubs. The return hubs were, of course, mentioned by some member states, especially the ones who are preparing such returns hub or preparing the negotiations with third countries about the return hubs. Yes, Italy, Albania is a different project. That's the Italian project. But as you know, five member states, 6 member states now are working together to talk with third countries about return hubs. But what I wanted to stress is also, yes, let's focus on return hubs. That's legitimate, and that's a task of the member states to do it, the ones who want to do it. But also focus on the safe third country concept, which means that the asylum procedure can actually be done outside the European Union, which where the safe third country concept allows for that. So yes, both return hubs, but also the asylum procedures outside the European Union were mentioned by some member states. Yes.
Sandro.
Sándor Zsíros from Euronews. First of all, you mentioned emergency financial aid for Spain. What's the amount? Where is the money coming from? And does this also cover potential humanitarian care as migrants are still remaining in Ceuta facing difficult conditions? And I would like to know also, how do you assess Italy's decision to temporarily suspend the Schengen free movement regime with Spain? Was this lawful according to you, since there was never a moment of threat of mass migration to Europe from Spain? Thank you.
Thank you. First on the financial support which is available to Spain, we offered already over €1 billion for the period between 21 and 27. To Spain. Spain received an additional 114 million allocation through emergency assistance and union action. That's also in the programming between 21 and 2027. And this includes approximately 28 million to further reinforce reception, asylum and return systems in Ceuta. So this is especially used there. Spain, as you probably know, is also one of the member states identified as under migratory pressure under the first annual solidarity cycle. and will therefore receive solidarity from the other member states as well. When it comes to the border controls, the Schengen area, first of all, you know that under the new Schengen border code, member states may exceptionally and also temporarily reintroduce internal border controls. That is in the Schengen border code, and some member states, as you know, have already taken that possibility. We were discussing that in the last weeks and months. If they have to address serious threats to public policy and internal security. So this is the case now, and now we are looking, of course, into it, whether the rules are, whether everyone sticks to the rules. This is also pretty obvious, but we have to, of course, look into that first.
Thank you. We'll take one more. Laura, then we'll move.
Thank you very much, Laura Dubois for the Financial Times. Commissioner, you mentioned leverage. How will you use your leverage against Morocco in this case? Our sources say this couldn't have happened without at least some tacit knowledge from the Moroccan authorities. So what is the next step here? Will you increase the budget support for Morocco on migration, or will you rather delay ongoing negotiations for a comprehensive partnership? Thank you.
No, the negotiations on the comprehensive partnerships are, of course, ongoing. And what I just wanted to say is that migration is, of course, also part of these negotiations. This is pretty clear, and this has been like that in the last months, actually, and will be in the next months to come. So nothing has changed there. We know that there was interference from the smugglers and the human traffickers. We know that on social media, so misinformation altogether. But this has nothing to do with our negotiations with Morocco.
Thank you. Here in the middle.
Johannes Peterer, ORF, Austrian National Television. Commissioner, just to follow up on that, do you think that Morocco has any responsibility whatsoever for what happened, and if so, to what extent?
Well, what we know is that, and what we saw, that there was an instrumentalization by human traffickers and smugglers. That's for sure. Grande Malaska, the minister, has repeated today the important role that Morocco actually played in making sure that the situation in Ceuta is under control. And we know, and we talked about the numbers, of course, also. And this is exactly why we engage with partner countries and third countries. So I also understand that there is an ongoing investigation of the matter in Spain. So I can't actually comment on that any further. But there was, of course, some disinformation by the smugglers and the human traffickers. That's what we know for sure.
Thank you. We'll take Jennifer.
Thank you. Jennifer Rankin, The Guardian. Commissioner, back to return hubs. Do you think there should be EU funding for return hubs, as we understand Italy would like, and several member states have already called for it ahead of the European Council in June?
That's actually a question of the negotiations for the next MFF. I think that's
also under strain due to low water levels in the Danube. The environmental crisis deepened further south in Greece, where senior meteorologist Theodor Generos declared the current wildfire disaster one of the worst in a decade. The fires claimed 5 lives over the past fortnight, with Copernicus data confirming over 12,000 hectares of land burned in a single week. Officials will conduct a comprehensive quantitative assessment once the fire season concludes.
French energy giant Total Energies has signed a deal with Shell to buy its European onshore renewable energy businesses. Total will acquire around 4 gigawatts